Hi and welcome back to My Life's Toil. I'm Neil. Thank you for joining me on my endeavours to get back to some sort of health and reduce my weight. I am a 52-year-old man and my starting weight was just around 136 kilos. I'm currently in the middle of my 7th week of using the weight loss injection Mounjaro. And the reason for me undertaking this method of approach to losing my weight is, like many other people, I've struggled with my weight most of my adult life. I've been on diets for what feels like most of it. But the realization for me was when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol quite recently. Now, as I've said before in previous videos, I tried medication, but neither the hypertensive medication or the statins really suited me, nor did I really want to be on tablets for the rest of my life. And here's the dramatic bit. I was a heart attack waiting to happen, middle-aged man, so I knew something had to happen. Now, I know there will be people watching this saying, but you're happy to inject yourself every week instead. Well, yeah, I am, to be fair. I don't know what the future holds with this, with the Mounjaro, with me, and like many other people joining me today and previously, it's taken quite a long time to arrive at using this Mounjaro stage. And I'm currently working on an end plan, but I haven't got a clue what I'll be doing when I actually reach my target weight. I know that research shows that people who stop the jabs are quite likely to relapse. There are talk of maintenance doses that people go on to keep some sort of control as well moving forward. But for years, I struggled with snacking and basically not knowing when I was full, really. I could go a whole day being quite sensible and eating well, only to destroy my efforts with late night pigging out sessions. And for the sake of others, I'm more than happy to share how my life been with you, what I've done and where I get to. I know I'm not on my own with food cravings, and I've been seeking something to help with these food cravings for years now, and I think we found it. So I started this channel fairly recently to share my journey, including the ups and downs and the in-betweens, and it's going well so far for me. There are side effects that I've discussed quite recently in the videos if you want to have a look before, but so far, for me, it's a price that I've been willing to pay. This is the time that I put an image up of the serious side effects of Mounjaro. If you are using the medication or thinking about using the medication and have serious concern, please get any concerns, any nasty side effects checked out. In today's video, as usual, I will be briefly updating the weight and body measurements and chatting about my half week since the most recent injection, which was my 7th one, as I say, my 3rd on the 5mg doses. I will also be doing what has become a bit of a regular feature with the people who have been kind enough to join me on this interesting excursion. I avoided using the word journey then because people don't like that, do they? But it's the Q&A session and viewers' feedback and tips for the Mounjaro and weight loss in general. If you have any questions that I or the community can help with, please send them on to me via the chat section, or I have a Facebook group as well. If I don't know the answers, I will certainly try and find out for you. As I always say, we have a really good group of like-minded people with similar goals and experiences that watch My Life's Toil. I get tons of fantastic comments on here, and admittedly, I am struggling a little bit to keep up with all of them. It can take hours, to be honest with you, but I've really tried to respond to all of them where I can. That said, it leads me on to something that YouTube has suggested, that I'm at a level with the channel where I can have members join My Life's Toil and have exclusive sort of privileges and ensure that burning comments get seen. And that these people, if they choose to join, will have different access on different levels to see new and exciting footage too, which I've actually been working on and trying to put in place ready for that. So if this is something that you might be interested in, it would be great to have you as a member. If you're happy to stay as a subscriber, which is absolutely free, please click the subscribe button if you're interested. to ensure I can appear on your phone, iPads, tellies, if you want me, that is. As for the questions and answers we do, please remember a lot of these opinions and answers can be subjective and may work for some and not necessarily for others. But one thing that we do on here is always support everyone where we can. There will always be the odd one who doesn't like what we do and doesn't believe what we're doing is right. For example, I saw my own doctor the other day and she was telling me, she said, don't get eating anything fatty. To which I obviously replied, you mean don't eat fatty foods? She said, no, don't eat anything fatty. Most of the feedback I've been on here has been brilliant, and this is what it's all about, because I'm only here to support you. It's to help me as well. I did this just as a diary sort of vlog, really, to just share my experiences and if it can help. And it's turning out that it is, because people ask questions and I'm in a position where I can answer them a little bit. I'm no expert on Mounjaro. It's relatively new. This type of medication isn't actually that new, but Mounjaro is fairly new and it's still just, like in its early years. So we're finding out things as we go along, aren't we? So if we can share our experiences, that's what this is about. As I've said before, if I can keep you going, you keep me going, brilliant. So most of the feedback I get on here has been brilliant. And like I say, it's what it's all about. But occasionally I'll get some not so nice comments where, because something doesn't, or someone doesn't agree with the findings that I've found, or it wasn't like that for them, and they'll disregard it as rubbish, or I think one comment I had was crap. I won't rise to any of this. I don't react. I don't get involved in any arguments. I just simply remove it. And that's not what it's about on here. We want this to be a positive experience for everybody. It's hard enough that we have arrived at needing to use weight loss injections. And I totally get why we are here. And we don't need to be judged or being told that what we're doing is wrong or doesn't, just because it doesn't suit somebody. But the positivity on here has been brilliant from most. In fact, it's been superb. And I want to spread that around everybody. But it genuinely upsets me when I hear from people who aren't getting the results expected from their Mounjaro and their courses when it doesn't seem to work for them. But I'll still try and offer advice within my remit where I can. As usual, always, if you're thinking about starting these injections, have any medical concerns relating to a new or existing issue, always seek the advice of a medical professional that knows you, such as your GP, your physician, doctor, dietitian. Right, let's start with some questions. Been getting some really good questions, and I will try and respond at the time, but if there's some really good ones, I'll share them on here. So question 1 this week: my pen only primes a little drop, not a jet like your pen did. I don't know if it's faulty. And no, it's probably not faulty. The manufacturer, Eli Lilly, states that a bead of fluid is normal and also states that the stream of fluid is not necessary. I also wanted to mention on this, I saw that someone had mentioned in the comments that the pen doesn't need to be primed after you've used it for the first time. It actually needs priming every time. Also, just by dialing the 2 clicks to the prime mark doesn't mean it's primed. You still have to press the plunger. Do this with the needle uppermost to ensure that any air bubbles rise to the top of the chamber. Remember also, a couple of tiny bubbles isn't going to cause you any great harm at all. The worst thing about having a few bubbles in is it might be a little bit sore. Now, before anyone says anything about this, I have taken this from the manufacturer's instructions. If you follow their guidance, you won't be far wrong. Second question: how does one dispose of the pen in the UK? And that's from Richard. Thanks, Richard. Again, from Eli Lilly's guidance, the kwikpen can be disposed of within your normal household waste or rubbish. But just to go on from this, sharps, the needles need to go in a sharps bin. and I think most people are getting them from their Mounjaro suppliers. In the UK, you should be able to arrange a collection from the local council. There may or may not be a charge involved in getting rid of sharps. In my local council in Solihull in the UK, I can actually book this online and get that done. And I don't think there's a fee involved. I've been looking through, and it doesn't seem that there's any fee involved in this. You can also get some pharmacies to take them off you as well. Again, there may or may not be fees involved, but there's a way of getting rid of them. If you really get stuck, give us a shout and I'll have a look in your local area for you. Third question. I have noticed the last couple of times after I inject and hold for 10 seconds, there's a tiny amount of liquid on my skin. Happened on both thigh and tummy. It's by no means a double dose, but it makes me worry I'm doing something wrong, despite following the instructional videos from my pharmacy. Is this something you've ever experienced? Yes, is the answer. In fact, you may have seen that I've mentioned this on my last jab. If you go and have a look at that video from in the week, I had a small amount of fluid on my abdomen following the jab. It can be quite normal to have this and still a few beads on the needle too. Just ensure that you've primed the pen, the needle, as we mentioned before, and that the needle passes fluid. Always inspect the pen for any damage. If you find any damage or concerns, get in touch with your pharmacist or whoever supplied you the pen. Question 4. The only thing I am suffering from is scale anxiety. Really odd, but I am literally shaking before I get on and see the result, which has always been a good loss. I guess it's because I'm bothered it hasn't worked. I was wondering if anyone else had this. Now, I don't think you're on your own with this at all. I've heard this before, and some people don't weigh. Some people weigh daily. Some people do it weekly. Some just go on how they feel in the clothing they're wearing. Again, we are all different. I used to weigh daily on my Juniper plan, but I'm just doing it twice a week now. I don't think I need to do it that often. Might be easy for me to say this, and I know I've said this on the comments as well, but whatever the result of any weighing that you do, try to use it as fuel to fuel your progress, whichever way round it is. And by this, I mean, if it's not the drop you expected, then let it push you further to achieve the drop that you're working for. And obviously, if it's a positive weighing, give yourself the accolade that you deserve and use it for further progress. I appreciate not hitting expected targets can be a real letdown. I've been there, but we need to really take a hold of this. We're spending a lot of money, aren't they? It's costing us a small fortune, Mounjaro is as well, unless you're lucky enough to get it through the NHS, and we need it to work. So try and take every opportunity to get every benefit, and whatever outcomes we have along the way, we need to try and use them as a positive. If it's not as good as you want it to be, let it drive you for the next week. I've had a comment from someone who's been taking the jabs for a little while. They haven't tailored their diet at all. They still enjoy having drinks on the weekend and have been having great results. Lots of good losses, whereas some of us have been counting calories, eating healthy diets, protein, fiber, skipping treats, and just not getting the results that we possibly should be. That said, as I always say, any loss is a loss. I think I said actually any loss is a gain, if you see what I mean. But I did have someone asking about the effect of hormonal changes as well on weight loss. And the fact of the matter is that yes, it can affect it, such as there's all sorts of reasons why we might not be losing weight. And there's lots of things that can affect the reason why we might not actually be using weight even on Mounjaro, such as stress, hypothyroidism, diabetes, digestive system disorders, menopause, perimenopause. And if you're not getting the results expected in a reasonable time, I'd actually suggest that you speak to your GP or your doctor. They may be able to reassure you. They may want to run some tests to rule out any of the things that I've just mentioned. And question 5 is a question that someone put in on muscle loss. So the concern is, if people are right about losing muscle mass, how am I meant to get to my ideal BMI weight of 11 stones without losing muscle? the short answer on this is, as long as you're eating sufficient protein, and as you say in your question, that you're active, you're doing resistance training, and you're now doing cardio as well. After some of the research I've seen recently, don't worry about muscle loss. I found a really interesting article page on the internet regarding all about this, and it's really well written, and it's a couple of years old actually, and hopefully it should allay any fears around this. So I'll put a link in the description for this. It's well worth a read and should put lots of minds at rest. Anyway, I wanted to mention some really good tips and tricks that we've had from the community, as I say, that a lot of people have suggested. The first one is around the dreaded constipation, which seems to be number one on the side effects. And this is from Cornet Blues, who mentioned taking a teaspoon of syrup of figs at bedtime works a treat for him. And sometimes the old remedies can be just what we need, can't they? Again, on this, if fluids and increased fibre isn't helping you and you are a little bit bunged up, give syrup of figs a go. Or over-the-counter remedies, gentle stuff like senna and similar laxatives should be able to help you as well. Right, anyway, we're at that time. It's Saturday. So what's Saturday for me? And was Sunday last week. So I am confusing the heck out of people. Back to Saturday today because I'm at the football tomorrow, as I've mentioned before. But it's measures and weights day. So I'm going to do the weight first. And I'll try and show you that live so you can see my scales as it happens. And I'll do the weights as well. Come with me and we'll have a look. So on Wednesday, it's now Saturday. So on Wednesday, I was 119.3. So anything a couple of pounds below that, or a pound, I'd be happy with. Any loss is a gain. Should we get that? Any loss is a gain anyway. So, as I say, let's go for it. 119.3 to beat. Let's see what we get. 118.4. Right, so yeah, it's still quite a bit, isn't it? So, as I say, 135.6 was the starting weight. Today, I'm 118.3 kilograms. That's a loss of 17.3 kilograms today, which in stones is 2 stone 10 pounds, and in pounds alone, it's just over 38 pounds. Let's go and see what the measurements are looking like for today. So, measurements time. I found my Juniper one. I'm not endorsing them at all. I'm actually probably moving away from Juniper because I don't use the app enough. And I'm just going to be buying the actual medication itself. I get all the support I need from, well, you guys, to be honest with you, which is nice. But let's get the measurements done. I started doing my chest, didn't I, last week? So we'll work our way down. Let's start with the chest, which, as I say, is quite troublesome when you're on your own, but let's go for it. I'll try and relax everything down. This week, my chest measurements are, or it is, I've only got one chest. So it might be a good idea to get someone to help you do this, but I always do my videos when the house is empty, so it's a bit difficult. Relax everything down, not too tight, nice and loose, because it looked quite tight on me last week, didn't it? And it was 50 inches, as I say. This week, we are just over 49 inches. So in 1 week, it's just under 1 inch drop and just over 49. So that's about 125 centimeters. That's not too bad at all, is it? So getting on to the waist, as I said before, I always aim for around the belly button. It's not strictly the waist measurement, is it? But this was 49.5 centimeters to start with. There wasn't much of a drop last week. I'm going to do that again because that seems quite a drop. I'm going to let it all flop out. The thing is, when you're exercising as well, it tones your muscles up a bit. So you do hold yourself better. Right, let me breathe out a little. I'm going to let it all flop out. Ready? Because that's what I usually do. What are we on? Right, about 46 inches. But like I say, let me get this back up here. As you start to exercise, you tone up a little bit and you hold yourself better. So naturally, you hold your tummy in, whereas before you'd be slouching. And so you do actually. It is a good idea to start exercising where you can. Let's do the thigh. So my thigh to start with. Now there was quite a big drop on the first week, but it was 29.5 inches of my thigh. And this week we are, let's have a look, about 25.5 inches. So not a massive drop. There's not much for my thighs to go. I mean, they're not as flabby as the rest of me, to be honest with you, but especially with all the walking and that I've been doing and going to the gym. I haven't been to the gym this week, but let's go back in the living room and I'll tell you why. Lots of fluids. Ideally water. It can be flavoured water. Any sugar-free stuff, really. So how has the week gone since my last jab? I had the jab on Wednesday. The following overnight Wednesday, I was absolutely abysmal. I had such nausea, vomiting. I went to bed feeling a bit, I've never had the feeling like I had, well, not for a long time, not since I've had like a nasty stomach bug, and that's been a few years, to be honest with you. But I woke up in the night with basically gastroenteritis type symptoms. And I was wondering, is it the jabs? I don't think it was, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of people this week that's come in with, can answer me a question. If you've got a tummy bug out there, most adults, do you then go to the doctors after a day of it and then say, I've got vomiting and diarrhea? Because that's the worst thing you can do. If you've got diarrhea and vomiting symptoms, please just stay at home, drink plenty of water and ride it out. If it lasts for more than a week, see somebody, speak to someone. Don't come to the doctors after 24 hours. Tuesday, I had probably about 4 people come in with it, adults, bringing the whole family in one of them. And it's just not fair, to be honest with you, because although I put masks on and things, it doesn't protect us that well. And I think that's where I've got it from. Saturday today, feeling a little better, but not 100% yet. But yeah, so that's basically how this half of the week has been. Not been eating enough, just taking fluids, hence probably why there's been nearly a kilo drop this week. I don't think it's anything to do with the Mounjaro. I think I have been getting some nausea with it, but nothing more than that. But at least it cured the constipation that I tend to get more of which I've been using Senna mostly for when I need to. I find that just upping the fibre and drinking plenty of fluids doesn't really cure it. Now, for me, the most common side effect, simple side effect that I've noticed is the constipation. That's what most people are reporting. Little bit of nausea. I've had a lot of nausea, but I'm going to discount what's happened over the last few days. But in the first week of the 5 milligram jabs, I had nausea a couple of days running, but it got easier each morning. It only lasted on the mornings. Anything else? It's difficult to say really, because there's not a lot I can report on in the last few days because of this virus, and it is getting a bit better. But I've had to be off work with it. I was off yesterday and the day before, and for me to go off with this type of bug, it's unusual. A couple of things that I was recommended by actual GP colleagues whilst I'm doing this. One of them was probiotic cultures to help with your digestive system, and equally the magnesium, and this one just happens to have vitamin B6 in, which is supposed to just help you feel a bit better as well. I don't know, to be honest with you. Does anyone else take any nutrients with them? You know, if you've been following me for a while, that I take the Centrum multivitamins related to my age as well. I sometimes miss them. Don't we all miss like things like this? No, you shouldn't. But does anyone find any benefit from anything? And what are we taking that helps? Drop it in the comments and I'll share it about with other people. Is there anything that doesn't suit? Do you think they're pointless? Be interested to hear what your thoughts are on this. But anyway, that's enough from me for today. I am going to do a few shorts over the weekend. I won't be doing a lot on Sunday because I have got the football, as I keep mentioning, and I'm looking forward to that. But then I'll be back on Wednesday with the next jab. Any questions, drop them in the comments. Please like, subscribe. Love having you along with me. And where you help me, I'll try and help you back. We keep each other going. That's what it's all about. So until Wednesday, I shall be back with the next jab and update you with how things are going. If there's any burning questions, I'll try and drop them out as well then. But apart from that, have a great weekend and I'll speak to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.